I want to share with you some interesting information regarding hospitality. So it's a different journey we didn't do yesterday. Before that, I'd like to ask you if whether anyone knows what special day we are celebrating today. Anybody has an idea what is today an international important day for anybody sitting in this room? You don't know? No. It's the International Day of CO2 reduction of emissions, CO2 emissions reduction, sorry, the other way around. So it's something that we, all of us, should be very much interested in. This said, my name, as Josephine said, is Miguel Galmés. I am Director of Sustainability of TUI Hotels. I'm saying this is the hotels that TUI owns. On the TUI portfolio, we have like 450 growing hotels, but some of them, or many of them, are franchise or joint venture partners. And then we have the TUI-owned hotels, which are 63 hotels in 17 countries, 33 destinations, mostly around the Mediterranean, Turkey, Spain, but it goes all the way to Vietnam, Thailand, Maldives, Zanzibar, and so on. We don't have any yet in America. And I'm focusing on energy, water, and emissions. So anything regarding those three components are my biggest interest. That doesn't mean that I don't care about food waste or plastic reduction, but you need to focus to be able to move things. And these are the three areas. Okay, so this is an intro. I want to say one more thing as an intro, which is the next slide. Exactly, sustainability. Why do I use that? Because I think it's a word that we have been using many years or decades already by many people in many contexts. And for me, in this presentation or in general, I'd like to put it as the ability to sustain itself. So it's in the word, in it already implied. And why do I say that? Because everybody has a different idea, but for me, the paradigm of sustainability would be a Roman bridge crossing Rio Tajo in Spain, for instance, which is still in use today. Okay, so they design it, they construct it the best possible way, and it is still, thanks to maintenance, it is still useful today. So that is like the paradigm of sustainability. What does that mean? That it's not only about environment, it's not only about social, and it's not only about economic. It's the three things together, okay? So another concept that I want to share with you is the hospitality paradox that we have. On this point, we can see it. You have been already somewhere guest, I believe, or at least here in the hotel, but sometimes you are a leisure client, which is our focus. We are not into the business sector very much. We are more into the leisure one. And, you know, people, the new luxury is not to own a Rolex. The new luxury is to go somewhere and be able to tell friends by Instagram and so on that you've been on the Maldives. And when you are there, you expect the best of the best. You don't want to be there like living at home. You want to have, pools all over, big bathtubs. You know, most of us, at least, many of us. Another idea that I want to share is that people, when they go to holiday, they transform themselves. It's absolutely normal. That's why you go on holidays. You drink more wine than you used to. You eat more flesh than you used to, or meat. And of course, you shower longer. You use more towels. And you can behave all year perfectly sustainable, be the best citizen ever, and then you have 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks, you don't want anybody tell you what to do or not to do. You can decide on your own. Maybe today I want to behave and I don't do anything, but on the contrary, you can also say, no, come on, I've been being so nice, now I want to do something else. I want to drink more wine than I used to, and therefore I want to shower longer. The trouble is that for us in the hotel leisure industry is that this two weeks are our every week. You know, the people come, and it's the same 2 weeks for us. And that's a challenge. That's what I'm saying here, the paradox, which is we want to have operational excellence with low impact. And to change behavior, it's a tricky thing to do. And technology is what I am more into it, to try with technology, with technological solutions to improve, to become more efficient. So a few points on that. As I said, the luxury is more an experience than an ownership. On the other hand, the last 3 years have been the hottest ever recorded. And then we have, especially in the leisure hotel industry, we have colliding of water scarcity in the destination together with high tourism intensity. So our clients come to Turkey in August or to Mallorca in August. And August is usually or always the hottest month in the year where rain is seldom. Okay. We need to do these two things, okay? We need to take carbon and water as more relevant inputs in our businesses, and we need to put excellence for the clients with efficiency and low impact together. It's a challenge. It's not easy, but it's feasible. All right. Next slide is horror scenario, I would call it, but it's necessary that we need to see what could happen, and taking words from yesterday, what can we do to mitigate or adapt to it, okay? So imagine, you know, most of you may know Belek, which is in the south of Turkey next to Antalya. It's a famous coastline with many resorts. We do have some there. And if everything goes like normal now, in 2100, we could have these serious scenarios. For instance, water rising levels, the beach is not where it is there. It could be further up, if there is any, because it's not very steep. I mean, it's really flat over there. Another thing is, whatever we have as a coastline, it might be plastic polluted. And when I say plastic polluted, I don't mean that you see a lot of big chunks of plastic on the beach. It could be that all microplastics, which we already know that are all over. And yeah, so that's another scenario. The green areas that we all desire now, because it's beautiful for our eyes and it's nicer to lay there. Who knows? Are they feasible or not? And it's so hot. Even the swimming pools, you would have lots of evaporation, and the water is gonna be so hot maybe that you cannot really enjoy them. But beyond that, maybe local regulations say, hey, come on, you cannot have a huge water park running 24 hours and the neighbors need to close the water down because we don't have any water left. So that could be also a point of conflict. And ultimately, what you could have is that because of all these factors, the current profitability of this place will disappear, will erode. And another part of the story is that demand, I mean, the clients themselves are going to move to other destinations which are nicer, colder, whatever. Okay, so this is like, yeah, some type of scary scenario, but it's not absolutely impossible, and it's necessary that we keep it in mind. Because of this, it's obvious that it's in our interest to drive global change and implement locally smart solutions for sustainable hospitality, because the future of TUI Group and the travel industry is connected to the scenario that I presented before. Okay. Going to my area, as I said before, 433 leisure hotels worldwide currently, and we have 63 owned hotels in 33 destinations. Here, I'd like to stress that tourism has also another important positive aspect. It's not all negative footprints. We create lots of employment in very granular way, in very faraway destinations. We promote global cultural exchange. I would say that Europe has grown closer together, not only because of tourism, but tourism plays a big role. I mean, I think that we know the Turkish, we know the Spaniards, we know the Greeks, we know the Germans, the English, because we have been visiting us through tourism, not only, but also through tourism. These are things that we shouldn't ignore and that we should bear in mind when talking about this industry. Okay, in my area, the strategy that I follow to become to get hotels to zero emissions as soon as possible, we have a SBTi commitment, which is 46.2% less emissions than a reduction of emissions compared to 2019 levels by 2030, as I said. And here it is. And first step is to electrify everything. What I tell to the GMs is, imagine your country delivers green electricity and you still have an oil boiler in the basement. I mean, we need to be electrified ahead of everything else. It's paramount that we are electrified. I say that whenever you see fume coming out, even if it's a cigarette, but anything else, be aware we need to replace that sooner than later. The biggest or the best example is the implementation of heat pumps, which are much more efficient. The only trouble right now is that they do have bigger capex spending than an old boiler, but in the return on investment is for sure much bigger. Renewables, okay. We have big resorts, but we struggle to find place to place the PV panels. When we design a new hotel, we have that in mind, so on the parking lot or on the roofs. But the problem, for instance, on the roofs is that we are competing also with rooftop bars and so on. That makes the placement currently of PV panels a challenge. We do it wherever we can, but the amount of panels that we would need to be autark, it's too big in most of the cases. So we have also external PV parks, like in Turkey. We have a huge PV plants outside, and we put the electricity into the grid, and then we subtract it with our resorts. That's another option. And the last obvious, well, there are two more options. One is PPA agreements with providers, and the last one is demanding green origin electricity contract with the supplier that guarantees that our electricity, our scope 2 emissions are zero. Then, well, that's the green energy contracts that I just mentioned. Another big problem that we like to oversee is refrigerants, especially well, I've seen it a lot in Turkey. They like to install VRV systems. These are systems that the tube where the refrigerant goes is very long. It's going all the way from the compressor all the way to the rooms and back. And the longer the tube, the bigger the possibility to have a leakage. And these are very potent greenhouse gases. And we should avoid these leakages. Therefore, we try to reduce this tube lengths And on the other hand, wherever possible, we go to natural refrigerants such as propane that have a much lower green global warming potential. It's a big issue. And we try to analyze, to see, to monitor Scope 3 emissions, but honestly, we do have our focus on Scope 1 and 2. And besides, if every company in the tourism sector takes care of Scope 1 and 2 emissions, then Scope 3 emissions wouldn't be necessary. And no greenwashing. That's another important thing. This is a point that I wrote like 5 years ago. Right now, it's more the risk of too much greenwashing, but you know what I'm meaning. It's better to say what you have done than what you are going to do. So another point, water. Water is, in my opinion, our biggest challenge. We are in the hotels, we are quite okay regarding energy. Energy has been always something that you look at because the costs were not cheap, and therefore in the profit and loss account, it was something that we took care of, more or less. But water has been always too cheap. In many places, even for free. You know, many resorts have a well on the ground and nobody cares how much water you pump or you use. And this is a big problem, I think, because this is not sustainable. This is not something that you can do forever. And local authorities are worried also, and take care that this is not allowed anymore, and fines are coming up, and therefore the water topic is becoming increasingly important. Prices are going up, and it's necessary. Honestly, it's necessary. So there are many solutions to become more water efficient, but I'd like to stress here the mental shift that we need, okay? We should take care of water as it would cost 10 euros the cubic meter instead of 1.25 or 2 euros. In Turkey, they raise now to 4 euros cubic meter, which is a huge increase. But as I said, it's still far away from what it should cost to make a difference. Another thought is we say water and we think it's all the same water. But even on the table, you have two types of water. Why don't we treat water by necessity and by quality? So to clean the ground, you don't need purify high drinking water. You could use recycled water. So for the right water quality and the right purpose is the next idea. And then be sensitive to the local environment. As I said before, you don't want to annoy your neighbors by splashing around with water while they are forbidden to use to green their garden, to water their garden, sorry. Well, this is about the same concept. And yes, we have a water consumption of 500 liters per person per day on average. That's the average. There are places where you go up to 1,500. Okay, that's unsustainable. I mean, why is it sustainable? Because it's cheap and nobody really cares. But it's gonna implode. It's not gonna work. So we need to tackle that. We need to think how we get water, where do we get it from, what purposes do we use it, where is the quality needed, and so on. This is something that we need to tackle and to work on. And the next step, as I said before, imagine water at 10 euros. Okay. And the last idea, yes, I think it's the last one, is the digital twin hotel. Okay. Here, what I'm doing is I'm connecting our sustainability challenges with the IT world and bringing them together. Okay, so a digital twin is what we are currently exploring, launching, initiating. It's beyond the BMS. BMS is a building management system. It's something that many hotels do have. It's a system where you can, from a central location, control, for instance, the air handling units or the HVAC machines, and you know, and set alarms and so on. But this goes far beyond that. Here are some points. It is based on many sensors, many meters, IoT technology, which deliver real-time data to the system, and then you can visualize easily, user-friendly, 3D, where is happening what. So that's like a BMS, enhanced BMS, okay? But beyond that, you can do forecasts, you can do simulation, you can integrate external data, for instance, for weather forecast or electricity prices and so on. And you are gonna be able to, as I said, forecast and simulate future scenarios and take the right decision. And even do preventive maintenance and so on. Okay, so it's a single pane of glass to visualize and predict resource consumption, geolocalize. So we are talking about one digital twin, but the idea is that we are going to have it on many hotels, and therefore you will get the information of those hotels and compare locations and so on. And what if scenarios. Yes, because of this, we already detected nice, interesting use cases, obvious use cases, but also new ones that you didn't expect. And most of them, we were focusing on back of the house issues, but we have also seen the possibility to detect, to develop use cases in the front of the house. For instance, one of the ideas we have is regarding client behavior that I mentioned before, which is really difficult to change or to shape, is the possibility in your room, when you go in, you would get somewhere a monitor, not very invasive, but a monitor that tells you you are top 5 in water consumption this week in this floor or in this room or in this building. If you keep going with this performance till Friday, you will be you'll get a champagne bottle on Saturday night at the bar. So that's something that on you don't force, you don't criticize, you give the option to become more sustainable and reward it. So this is something that it's not impossible to do, but with the digital twin, it's gonna be much easier because we are already going to be monitoring room by room information. So here's some ideas: back of the house and front of the house. Another thing, front of the house, that many already offer, but they offer in a very simple way. We could go much further, is the select your room option. Okay, you are going to be able to fly digitally into a room and say, is this the room you like to have with this view? If yes, then click here and you pay whatever extra and it's yours. Okay, and yeah, of course, predictive maintenance. We are doing a lot of maintenance, as you can imagine, on reaction when things are broken already. With the digital twin, we are going to be able to see that the pump down there has an abnormal energy consumption, and we should go there right now to check what's going on before anything breaks. Or, yeah, this is the definition of the digital. Another thing is if we have bad weather coming up, like a heavy rainstorm, we could immediately have the work orders for our technical staff going out saying, please review all roof water drainage systems, make them clean of anything so that the water coming from the rain is going to, flow and not have any obstacles on the way. Is another example. So this is definition. Here are some impressions. This, why do we have this? We already started last summer a pilot project in Belek, in one of our hotels, together with Siemens. We did on 3 areas of the hotel digital twin light version. One was the pool, the main pool that you can see here, this V-shaped pool. This was one focus area. The other one was the kitchen with the big ovens and so on, and the how do you say the washing machine, the long washing machine. And the third area were the rooms. We pick up 3 rooms and we install water and electricity meters there to see how they behaved. And according to this pilot project, we could say that if we run the full-blown digital twin in this hotel, we're going to have a return on investment of less than 3 years. And this is what we are planning to start now in March. April is when we are, well, we go in March to Belek again, and the starting is going to be in April. Okay. Yeah, and in that line, just to say that sustainability and digitization are the biggest levers for the future. We leave ad hoc Excel management. We go for something holistic. And I think some of the points that I mentioned here, that are here, I already mentioned. As I say, enhanced guest experience. We bring together all data that is swimming around in the hotel from the BMS, existing BMS, but also from the booking engine and so on. It can be all brought into one system. The preventive maintenance of our facility team, it's also guaranteed, and our road to sustainability and zero emissions and water stewardship, and it's also all on the same platform now. And yeah, that's our mission. It's important, this mission, because at this current time, we at sustainability have some trouble to present the ideas at the board, I would say. We are not priority number 1 as we used to be 4 or 5 years ago. And what counts now is there a business case behind? So the numbers, so the return on investment, the payback time of 3 years, that's something that counts. And the other aspect that helps is when you link it to anything related to digitization. So AI, digitization, sustainability, it all boils down together in this digital twin hotel project. And that's, I think, the way to go at this moment. Yeah, and that's about it. I'd like to say that inefficiencies is something that, on the one hand, anything that we can make more efficient becomes more sustainable. But on the other hand, we get applause from our clients at the same time. Not usually when you say, okay, let's reduce gas consumption. If you do that with meat at the buffet, you say, let's reduce the cost of meat at the buffet, then the clients would complain. But in this case, in energy, water, if you are intelligent and you reduce gas consumption or diesel consumption, you would even get applause from our clients. So at the end, as I'm using the claim of TUI, which is we make people live happy. And that's it. Thank you. I'm going to stay for the roundtable.